WrestleMania 40 is in the book. So today, what we are going to be doing is WrestleMania ratings. We're going to be rating them on the official scale of yeah. How many yeahs out of 5 did each of these matches at WrestleMania get based on my dummy scale? So let's begin with the World Heavyweight Championship, the Women's World Heavyweight Championship, Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch. A solid match. It was a good way to open it up. Becky Lynch apparently had like strep throat and a fever of 102, and they still went at it. I thought the finish to the match was very solid. I like that they kind of did a riptide into another riptide. She did a double finisher and just seemed dominant. Rhea Ripley really came out on top. Mommy's always on top, but she really dominated the entire thing. I never really felt like this match got out of the next gear though. I was expecting a little bit more, but also knowing that Becky was sick, maybe that played into it a little bit, but I thought it was a strong opener nonetheless, and I did expect Rhea to retain this title. It just didn't have that next level thing that I was looking for. That could be based off of the feud itself and how it was built overall. But I did think it was solid. I had no qualms with it. Thought it was very good. 4 yeahs out of 5. Next up, we have the 6-pack ladder match. Awesome Truth, A-Town Down Under, Judgment Day, DIY New Day, New Catch Republic. I had fun with this match. I saw some critiques online. People weren't crazy about it. I think it was a fun hot mess, because that's what this was. And you had both sets of titles, tag team titles, on the line, and it was all over the place, and it really started to build up towards the end where you had JD going through a table. You had A-Town Down Under get the SmackDown tag team titles, and then Grayson Waller going through the ladder, getting kind of eliminated in that sense. And then you ended up with Awesome Truth picking up the Raw tag team titles, which I kind of suspected they were going to do. It was fun. It's just really hard to book this type of match. Like, it's all over the place. You had DIY doing their cosplay for DX, which was kind of like, that's a little much there. It was fun. The very tail end of the match though, I thought it needed to kind of speed up, because once Grayson Waller got eliminated, then you were left with the Raw tag titles. I felt like they needed to just finish the match a little bit quicker. You had Damian Priest trying to grab it and retain the belt. Truth was going for the belts at one point and then got knocked down, and it's like they had to go into the next step to get to the final moment of Truth and Miz picking up those titles. I thought they could have shortened that ending to kind of get the biggest pop and reaction, but still enjoyed it nonetheless. It was a little clunky because of how all over the map this thing was. 3 yeahs out of 5. Okay, Rey Mysterio and Andrade defeat Santos Escobar and Dirty Dom. And then you had the help of the football players at the end for Rey Mysterio to win. It was fun. Andrade's fantastic. Like, I am all for Andrade to get a singles push and do this thing. He was fun to watch in this match. Him and Ray doing some tag team spots, like onto the outside. Really well done. It just kind of, it didn't quite do, I don't know what I wanted it to do, but it never really got to the next level. You had Joaquin Wilde do the springboard thing, which was a really cool moment. It had some cool moments, but then I was just very confused when I saw these two giant guys masked up and run into the ring and then help get the win for Rey Mysterio. I was hoping for a little bit more. I was actually kind of leaning towards like Dom getting the win, so then him and Ray are 1-1. Maybe next year's WrestleMania they do the final father and son retirement match for Ray or something like that. It wasn't great. I didn't know what I was expecting out of this, and I always felt the belt build was kind of odd too. Andrade inserting himself in there after Dragon Lee got injured, after they didn't select Carlito. There's a lot of things going on with this tag team match or with the LWO. It's kind of mixed up. I don't know what happened to Dragon Lee. Got taken out and then he's just nowhere to be seen. He got taken out one time on SmackDown. He was not at WrestleMania. 2 yeahs out of 5. It just wasn't what I was hoping it would be. So moving on. Jey Uso defeated Jimmy Uso. I wasn't anticipating this match to be something special. The two brothers coming at it. The video package at the beginning was awesome. They did a great job building this thing up. You got years of storyline all wrapped up into this thing, and then finally they're gonna collide. I kind of was thinking Jimmy should have won this thing, and then they could maybe set up some future matches. This was not very good. Like, I didn't think this was ending. It wasn't good. I'm not trying to be harsh on the guys. I think they did what they could, but it felt like, I don't know how what the runtime was for this thing. It was like 10 minutes. It didn't feel very long. And then you just had, I felt like the bulk of the match was just super kicks, just trading kicks and punches to then we skipped all the story things, got to the end of Jimmy telling Jay not to do it, and then a little bit of a turn in there, which is kind of fun. Like, I'm glad they did that. But man, it was just super kicks back and forth. There was no real storytelling in this thing. I think you needed this thing to be like 15 minutes or whatever and actually have some big key moments where they were really trying to build out this brother versus brother, like have Jay being really reluctant to hit his brother with anything because he didn't want to do it, and then maybe Jimmy gets the win. I don't know, but it never got going. It could have been partially the crowd in that night one. It's very cold, and then also the matches were not bad by any means, but it was like kind of building and building and building. This I felt like needed to be one that kicked things into gear, because you came off the tag team match and you had some kind of average matches, and you're like, okay, Jimmy and Jay, this will be a lot of fun. A lot of super kicks, yes, but a lot more moves and a lot more storytelling. Never felt like I got that. I gotta give that, like, I thought it was kind of a dull dud. But Jimmy, what would we do? What should we do? Should we do it a 1? 1 is harsh. 1's really hard. I'm giving it a 2 because it's Jimmy and Jay. They tried. It wasn't very good. 2 yeahs out of 5. Next up, Bianca, Naomi, Jade Cargill making her WrestleMania debut, going up against Damage Control. Fun match, exactly what I expected it to be. It wasn't anything fancy. I love the women's trios entrance they did. The whole like elevated platform thing. They all got a little tiny bit of an entrance. I wish I was kind of disappointed I didn't get a Jade full entrance, a full like minute-long entrance thing. I was expecting it to be just this epic thing. We didn't get that, and that's okay. But I still had fun with this match nonetheless. It was foregone conclusion. Jade Cargill was not going to lose her first match at WrestleMania. It just ain't going to happen. But they did exactly what you kind of thought they were going to do, where they were going to give Jade those big, dominant spots in the match, kind of protect her a little bit, gets to shine. Naomi, Bianca did great. The gear was amazing. Gear of the night. We could do a gear rating if we wanted to on the channel. Let me know. But then they go up against Damage Control, and they totally lost. They lost all weekend, so that's okay. I'm gonna give this thing just 3 out of 5 yeahs, because I just had fun enjoying this thing. It was what I expected it to be, and it delivered on that, so 3 yeahs. And we have the Intercontinental Championship. Gunther, the champion, going up against Sami Zayn, and Sami Zayn defeated Gunther. Ended the Intercontinental Championship reign of the most dominant IC champion of all time. So the build for the match I thought was a little weak. It wasn't what I almost wanted Chad Gable inserted in there, or Chad Gable to be the guy, because I felt like the whole build of Gunther and Sami, it just didn't have that final thing. And then they did the workout montage, and that just became silly in my opinion. It really did not land where I wanted it to. So then we end up with this match, but they started to really get me hyped up for this as Sami was talking to his wife and his son right before the match. He then runs into Chad Gable. Then he starts walking through the gorilla. Kevin Owens is there, and he's just getting them all hyped up, and Sami goes out. And right there, I was into it. I was into the match. But because those guys were all there and doing that, that's where it felt like it was kind of a foregone conclusion. Like, oh, Sami's gonna win this. It still had doubt in my mind because of how dominant Gunther was. Like, this was Chop City. This was just so dominant by Gunther. He did everything. He started to get a little bit too brash by poking at Sami's wife, by actually taunting her. So there was a little bit too much of Gunther. He's getting too cocky. He was getting too arrogant in this match. Good back and forth. Sami had to like Hulk up, brother, at the very end to finally get the win over Gunther. I just felt the story needed more, because the sequence at the beginning, like before the match, of him running into Kevin Owens and all of that, I thought that was excellent. That was so good to get you hyped and ready. But I felt like we were missing the last year of the build of Sami to fight Gunther, because we've had that match and he lost. That's what was missing for me, where you wanted almost like Cody and that story, where you're gonna get this person is like, he's gonna do it, and you've been vested in this thing for so long, this whole feud, and it hasn't been that way. It's been like, won a tournament and now he's gonna fight Gunther. The match was solid. It was kind of like a, okay, yay, like I'm glad Sami won, but it wasn't this, oh my god, this person dethroned Gunther. That's what I was expecting to happen with Gunther's reign. Somebody was going to defeat him, and it was going to be the next era, the next new person. It's wonderful that it's on Sami, and I think it's gonna be a lot of fun, and I can see Chad Gable turning on him and set up that feud, and maybe Gunther goes off for world titles now. It's exactly what I wanted. It was a great story. The match just kind of it didn't have that, I guess, next level urgency where I was on the edge of my seat. It was like, oh wow, haluva kicks, and he beat him. Cool. So I think it was missing just that one little ingredient to really set it up further. I will give it though 4 yeahs out of 5. Then we got the main event, the tag team match. Roman Reigns, The Rock, with his own Rock Championship coming out because he can't not have some belt on coming out for his entrance. He's like, Roman's got belts, I need belt. So Rock and Roman versus Cody and Seth in the tag team match to determine if night 2 will be Bloodline rules. So the whole thing was like 45 minutes or whatever. If you took out the first 10 minutes of the match, where it was a lot of just tag team match, just basic stuff, if you took that out and you gave me just the last half of the match, that thing was awesome. Roman spearing The Rock by accident. The Rock's reaction when he got speared was incredible. I loved it. There were spears and their guys were brawling all over the place. Again, the second half of this match was really fun. The Rock with the belt. Like, it was so much fun. The first half, a lot of tag team stuff. I was worried the whole time that The Rock was going to blow out his whole body and he was going to explode. But The Rock, he did what he needed to do in this match. It was fun. Everyone looked good. It wasn't like this amazing edge of my seat thing. I really felt like Bloodline Rules was going to happen to be able to continue this story for the whole weekend. It was a fun main event. The entrances were top notch. The Rock's entrance was amazing. So I really did enjoy it. I had fun overall. 4 yeahs out of 5. Then we go on to night 2. It's a little bit warmer outside. Everyone's coming off of night 1. Night 1, it felt, and looking back at night 2, it looked like night 1 was a lot of just building these layers to get to a really well-paced, edge of your seat night 2. For me watching at home, and maybe you felt this way too, I felt like night 2 went at a quicker pace. I thought the crowd on TV anyways, they seemed to be more energetic. And again, that's just how it came across on TV watching it. I'm sure live, both nights, everyone's crazy, but it felt like the crowd was way more engaged. It had a lot more energy. And night 2 for me felt a lot more like WrestleMania, what it was supposed to be. It felt like it had that giant spectacle urgency and felt like everything was just kind of quicken and hitting on all gears, especially the way they kicked it off. Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, World Heavyweight Championship, came out right out of the gate. Drew hits a Claymore on Seth and you're off and running. Seth is selling all the injuries from night 1. This match was awesome. This thing had me glued right away. The spots, the Claymores, CM Punk on commentary, Drew getting involved with Punk, Seth selling everything and all of the injuries. I really loved this thing. I was curious how this was all going to come together from a story perspective. Seth, I felt like needed to lose, and he did. Drew McIntyre got that win at WrestleMania in front of fans, the big moment. But then the story got even better. That on its own was great. Like, I really loved just Seth versus Drew in the match that they told in this whole story. Then Drew takes it up a notch. He gets his moment in front of the fans with the belt, then he goes too far and he starts taunting CM Punk at ringside, sitting on the table, putting the belt in his face, and then Punk gets up, has enough. He's pushed his buttons too far, he takes off the arm brace, and then he hits Drew McIntyre with it, and then Damian Priest comes down and cashes in and wins the World Heavyweight Championship. This was so fun. This told layers of story within it. You popped huge because you got a cash in, you got a title change, you got a crazy good match, you got all these shenanigans at the end, and you got a cash in at the very end. I loved how this went, and the pieces and the people that are involved in this, there's all these different stories that are going on to set it up for the future. Now I'm curious what's going on with Damian Priest. How is he going to be a world champion? I want to see him like with the belt on Raw, how it all looks. There's a draft coming up. Is Judgment Day going to split? Is there jealousy? Is Priest going to run Judgment Day because now he's the champion, or is Rhea going to run it? There's so many questions. Punk and Drew, how is Drew going to react? And is Seth going to be around? 5 yeahs out of 5. I loved this thing so very much, and it kicked off night 2 the right way. Next up was the Philadelphia Street Fight. The Street Profits, Bobby Lashley, Final Testament going at it with Bubba Ray Dudley, Bully Ray, as the Extreme Rules special guest referee. Fun match, didn't overstay its welcome. I wanted Final Testament to win, but you know what? There's table spots, there's kendo sticks, there's chairs. What was a good kind of thing throughout this whole thing, because they had BFAB and Scarlett and Paul Ellering all ringside, they just kept sliding in weapons the whole time. You just kind of see it. You just be like, okay, there's a kendo stick slid in, there's a chair slid in, and Cross stood out, looked great. I was really hoping Cross was going to win this whole thing, but it was a feel-good moment for the crowd. You got the table spots, Bully Ray helping out during this thing. It was a great balance, and it just was fun, and again, didn't overstay its welcome. 3 yeahs out of 5. Oh, then we got the biggest match of the night, don't we? LA Knight, yeah, versus AJ Styles. AJ got new theme and neutrons and graphics. Almost looked like NWO, like the black and white, with like a remix updated theme. I kind of liked it a lot. But this was all hitting. This was hard hitting. This match, what I liked about it right away was that they didn't get in the ring after the whole build of the home invasions and just dummying each other every single week and getting into brawls. And they brawled at WrestleMania weekend. This whole thing was just about them wanting to fight each other. And I'm so glad that when they got in the ring, they didn't just do a lock up and start doing moves, like, and just trying to do Irish whips and arm drags. They got in, AJ rushes the ring, they start brawling. It's exactly what the pace of the match needed to be. You got LA Knight giving away Slim Jim cars, driving in with a Slim Jim mobile at the very beginning. That was hilarious, and it was also sponsored by Slim Jim. So there's no way that LA Knight was gonna lose this thing, because Slim Jim is booking this match, brother. Thought it was fun. Again, didn't overstay its welcome. It was a good match. It was good for LA Knight. It was a great solid bout for AJ Styles. Good spots, hard hitting, had a lot of fun with it. 3 yeahs out of 5. You'd think because it's LA Knight, and everyone says that I am a Wish version of LA Knight, that it would just be 6 yeahs out of 5. But it's not. It was just a fun, solid match. 3 yeahs out of 5. I had a lot of fun with it. United States Championship. Logan Paul going up against Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, the golf cart at the beginning, bringing them down. Randy looked like he was scared. He's gonna fall off this thing. Good, fun match. You got the speed guy in there. He's the blue guy. He's the bottle. That was fun, RKO to him, because I was like, why do we have this? Why is this in our world? But I had fun watching this thing. Logan Paul retained the title. It was a fun little bit of storytelling where you did have Kevin Owens and Randy Orton finally going after each other, which is what you expected to happen. And it was kind of what I expected too, where Logan Paul would retain the belt. Didn't think he needed to lose this thing. Hopefully Kevin Owens and Randy could either go off and have a match together, fight each other, or they're gonna stay in this US title scene. But I think it opens up the door too. Logan Paul's good as a US champion to have at that level, because he can work with a lot more people than being at like the very, very top, fighting like Cody, for example. So I like where they're positioning Logan Paul. Great spots, great moments. It was a fun match. There was a lot of fun in this whole thing. 4 yeahs out of 5. Women's Championship. Io Sky, the champion, going up against Bayley. This was great. I was so happy Bayley wins. I was so happy for her. I love the story that they have told for 2 years of Damage Control, forming and breaking up and everything in between. Io did a great move where she countered it into like a flip and came out of it and didn't get hit with it, like for the Rose Plant, I believe. So there was like great spots throughout this whole thing. It was really great storytelling. Bayley came out on top. She finally wins at WrestleMania. The crowd went insane. They were all behind her. I just thought the match was just so good. It was just so well built, so well told. I didn't have any faults with it. I'm giving the thing 5 yeahs out of 5. I just really liked how this came together, and I was so happy for Bayley. And then the Undisputed Championship match. Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes. It was Endgame. That was WWE's version of Avengers Endgame, and I loved it. The whole build throughout the entire match, it didn't overstay its welcome in terms of them just doing moves. It was a lot of really good moments, the Cody cutters, the spears, everything before all of the shenanigans began. They had a really excellent build through the whole thing. We didn't get the crazy standard Roman ref spots, ref gets taken out. It's bloodline rules. So we knew that we were going to get some stuff was going to happen in this match. The near falls, the false finishes, you still were on the edge of your seat. By the way, to back up for a second, the entrances, Cody's entrance, phenomenal. I loved all of that. The burning flags, the American Nightmare and all that. Just the skull mask, it was a little silly. But the entrance was phenomenal. Roman, great entrance, all of that. Then you started getting in about halfway through this thing. This was like, they gave it like an hour, like from entrances to the end. They gave a whole hour to this entire thing. So this was like, you knew this was going to be huge, and it was. And it wasn't this overbooked mess that I was kind of worried it was going to be, where there were just bodies everywhere involved at the exact same time. They even paced it out very well. Everyone hit their spots. You did eventually have Jimmy coming in, super kicking Cody, trying to end this match for the bloodline. You had Jay come out, they go through a table. You then have Solo coming out, him doing spikes. They do a spear spike combo, couldn't end it for Cody. Then you end up with John Cena coming out, taking out Solo Sikoa. Then the final boss comes out, and you had a really cool moment of The Rock and John Cena face to face. Cena takes his shirt off and he's like, let's go, Rock. Rock bottom to Cena. Then you get the Undertaker out there, which if you at first I was watching this and I'm like, why is Undertaker going after Rock? Like, they've had matches, but they're not like historic feuds kind of thing. But really, it was probably to signify the Undertaker's streak, one of his WrestleMania opponents being that of Roman Reigns, big dog, saying it's his yard now. Taker kind of ending the Undertaker at WrestleMania. Yes, Brock broke the streak, but you know what I mean. Roman being one of the final big matches and opponents of Undertaker's career. And so that is like, there's a motivation line in there. Would I have loved to hear Glass Shatter? Yes. I kind of prefer, you can't win them all, but I kind of would have just preferred as a fan that I was going to get The Rock and Stone Cold in the ring, and Stone Cold hits a stunner on The Rock to make more sense for their story. But the Undertaker doing it because he's like against Roman in their history, that made sense too. Then the lights go off and Taker's gone again and Rock is taken out. And then probably the highlight of the entire thing for me was Shield music, Seth coming in and having the chair, and he's in full Shield gear and everything, and he gets taken out. Was this The Rock that took him out? I think so. I can't remember the sequence. But when Seth was in and he got taken out, and then you have Seth just there sitting in the ring, beaten down, and you have Roman getting up, and they have the great shot of the belt, of the weight belt, and the chair. And what was Roman's decision going to be? This is a decade of story of Roman and Seth. And Seth even saying this past year that he will be Cody's shield in this whole thing. So they call back to that. But it calls back all the way to the very beginning of all of this, with Seth turning on Roman, people stabbing him in the back, Sammy hitting Roman with the chair in the back, like Seth did. It all goes back to that moment, the very, very beginning. And so in that shot, it really did tell that story where Roman had to make his decision. Was he gonna grab the chair or the weight belt? And even though he grabbed the chair, in that moment, was he gonna go and turn and hit Cody and win? Or was he gonna make the wrong decision and go by emotion and hit Seth? Because that's the trigger of all of this. And he's bitter and he will never forget that. And it was so brilliant to do that little moment. So you have Roman hit Seth with the chair, and then that's what causes the full ending of Roman Reigns and his reign as undisputed champion. And Cody Rhodes wins the championship. He's got the Lex Luger moment where everyone is put him on the shoulders. Bruce Pritchard comes out, Triple H comes out, pedigreed everybody. No, he didn't. But it was so fun. You had a giant, long celebration at the end. Mama Rose is in there. It felt like Avengers Endgame. It felt like what Triple H said in the press conference too, of new era. Everyone's touting the Triple H era. Stephanie McMahon is also kind of back. And Triple H even talked about that in the press conference. But we're going off on those things. The match itself, was it overbooked in there? Yeah, but in the best balanced way, in my opinion. I loved it. I think it brings in a new era, new tone for WWE. I can't wait to see what's gonna happen. That's the best part of wrestling for me, is like, what's gonna happen next? This cool thing happened, so what's next? 5 yeahs out of 5. I love the main event. It was just fun. And that's the whole theme to WrestleMania 40 for me, is that I had fun watching the whole thing. What are your ratings for WrestleMania 40? What did you think of night 1, night 2, and the main event especially? Did it work for you, brother? Guys, let me know in the comments, and if you enjoy, videos like this, going through our ratings, let me know. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.